Typically, a murder-suicide involves at least two individuals, but we're about to see how this can be accomplished with only one.
As this never said, it's not even us.
We begin in the spring of 1964. What do I remember? Immediately jumping into it, our goal is to use the environment and the tools we find in it to escape this room and progress the story. The room being, of course, in the shape of a cube. Right away, we notice someone standing outside, but we're unable to get a better look at them. In the light, we find a piece of a photo. And under the sink, we find bird food, a pot, and a piece of wood. On the board, we see the first mention of the Rusty Lake Mental Health and Fishing Facility, something that will become very important later on. Now I know, if you've never played a cube escape game, or even a point-and-click game before, this may be a little jarring, but as we unlock more secrets, things will start to make more sense, and questions will arise. Adding pages to the frame, we see that the photo is of the woman we saw standing outside the window earlier. We light the fire and feed Harvey, who of course poops out an egg for us. Using the potted matches, we are able to cook Harvey's egg and break it. Where instead of a yolk, we find a black cube. Now looking out of the window, we briefly see a dark figure before it disappears. Completing the photo with the last piece gives us the ability to lift it and place the black cube into the square slot on the wall. This completes the first part of Seasons and leads us 7 years into the future to the summer of 1971. In the same room, we will find that things are a bit more surreal this time around. Quickly, we break our favorite cassette tape and collect a few tools right before an arm grows out of a flower pot and gives us a piece of paper for the photograph on the wall. Nothing odd about that. As quickly as we can, we light the cassette tape on fire to ensure that we inhale our daily dose of carcinogens. Upon fixing our black light, we find a hidden paper in the wall. Going over to Harvey, we open the window and see that it is nighttime. Using our extremely powerful telescope, we look at the moon and see something very odd indeed.
There will be blood.
After witnessing the murder on the moon, we collect a key from the ceiling and use the code that was painted into the window to open a safe. Which of course contains a shrimp. Bringing the shrimp over to the kitchen, we cook it in the oven, turning the shrimp into a view of the lake. In the water, we see the woman who transforms into a dark figure and then into the black cube. Grabbing the last of the photo, we put the cube into the wall and complete summer, moving us into fall of the same year. This time around, the room is covered in blood, and we see a note written to ourselves about doing something horrible.
The past is never dead. It's not even past.
Remember these words. In the drawer, we find a bloody knife, usually not a good sign. And after a quick jump scare, we decide to murder our pet bird, Harvey. Where in his chest, we find another photo piece. I knew that bastard was hiding something. Using our outstanding sanity, we follow a series of codes hidden on TV channels to get another black cube. And then we find our ceiling light has turned into a giant bleeding eyeball. Using the final photo piece, we complete fall and move into the final season, winter, 1981, 4 years after the previous season. This time, we find the room a schizophrenic's dream home with strange pages and odd devices covering the walls. Remember, phone plus fuel lets us change the past. Grabbing an axe and ignoring the time machine in our living room, we decide to let some light in. And some fresh air while we're at it. After lighting the fireplace, we find the rest of the blueprints for this photo. Unlock the grandfather clock and unveil something disturbing. We are the dark figure we have been seeing this whole time. We also find a blue cube, which is the first time the cube hasn't been black. Placing it into the slot, we see that we can now freely travel time to our previous seasons. We go back to summer, and we are now able to open the clock cabinet giving us a key, hanger, and a trowel. We also now know how to open the safe and get a strange seed from it. Immediately, we dig up our plant and place the seed into the pot. That'll probably be useful later. Fixing the radio. We get another key that unlocks Harvey's cage. And grabbing the firewood that's been burning for 11 years in no time at all, we use it to open the window and set Harvey free, saving him from us in the future. Going back to the future, we see that Harvey is still alive this time around, and we also see the code to open the clock in the summer. This time inside the clock, we find a wrench. Using it, we give ourselves a leak. and head back to the future. Quickly looking at the fall time, we head then and find matches in the clock. Using those matches, we light the candle for the final time and safely leave it burning for the next 4 years. Now in the future, we have everything we need. Our Prozac candle has fully melted, giving us access to the pill inside. The cactus we planted 11 years ago is now bearing fruit, and our water leak has yielded a wonderful pitch black mushroom that's definitely safe for consumption. Blending up a walkie slush with the Prozac, we then use the guide on the poster to see the order our strange concoctions go into. The cactus fruit is next, revealing an appetizing lava lamp color, and Harvey is back, who gives us a flower for not murdering him. Who would ever do that? We make the mushroom slush and see that we've misplaced a couple of potions, so fixing that, we are able to turn on the mysterious machine. Somehow, this allows us to call ourselves in the past and we get the grand reveal that we are the woman who was murdered the entire time. We are both the dark figure and the woman. Who she is still a mystery. And as we get more answers, we uncover more questions. Part 2, The Lake. I found an abandoned cabin at Rusty Lake. Inside the cabin, we find a knife, a fishing pole, string, and an insect. We're about to do some fishing. We also find a piece of paper revealing a set of symbols and a familiar phrase. Grabbing our trusty crowbar and hook, we head out to the dock to cast out and see what we reel in. With the insect, we managed to catch a shrimp. Not much, but not nothing either. Using a knife, we chop open the shrimp and find that that bastard had our key inside of him. The key opens a cabinet where we find a magnet and a worm. Using the shrimp head, we pull a dead body out of the lake. Given the color and state of the body, it seems it's been in the lake for a while. Surgically cutting into the body with our kitchen knife, we pull an apple from its back. Time for more fishing. Using the classic worm, we managed to reel in an actual fish this time. Taking it over to the table, we chop it in half, revealing that the fish had a tree inside of it. A tree with eyes that strangely match the paper we found earlier. We put the apple on the tree and get back to our fishing. Using the magnet, we pull up a key and open the last cabinet, giving us a coin, which we then give to the tree. Using the crowbar, we break into our wall, revealing the eyeball that, of course, is behind all walls. We connect it to the tree and use the key to open the glass cabinet, which contains a bit of mold. Using the mold, we pull up a shell, which goes nicely on our tree. And using the magnet again, we pull up a safe. And remembering the code to the safe in Seasons, we are able to open the safe and get a strange gem from inside. Using the gem's light, we are able to defeat the dark creature sneaking up on us and collect the dark cube, thus completing the lake. However, there is an alternate ending to the lake where you use the magnet again to pull up a second safe containing a diamond. If you use the diamond on the tree, the light doesn't work and the monster from the lake gets you. How unfortunate. Part 3, Arles. What do I remember? Now, Arles takes place all the way back in 1888 and is only loosely related to the events of the rest of the story, but it will come up again in the future. We are in an artist's bedroom, and upon uncovering the window, we discover that we are in fact Vincent van Gogh. We begin to put the pieces of these paintings together, and upon searching the room, discover many more objects than in the previous memories. We grab more painting pieces and a sugar cube from the flowers. We almost have all the painting pieces now, and we start to notice these symbols, almost letters, on different items in the room. We also find a bottle of absinthe under our pillow, a gift from the Tooth Fairy, I'm sure, and melt the sugar cube with it. Giving us another painting piece. We use this complete first painting to give us a key that unlocks the door. And we trade our hat to this guy standing at the door for a palette. And now we can let our art skills shine. Matching the symbols in the room to the colors of the objects they are on to begin with, we begin our masterpiece. Luckily, we have a rag to clean our edges a bit. We color in the moon, and the sun, and the mountains, and finish the painting with a black cube, which we collect. Along the way, we find the final painting piece. Spinning the sunflowers in the correct way gives us a key, which gives us a knife, which gives us a way to get rid of that pesky extra skin on the side of our head. Matching up the bottles with the lines on the bottles in the two paintings, we are able to fill them in the correct order and allow ourselves to travel into our own ear. Inside the ear canal, we find a gun and a way to get back into our bedroom, along with the second door, which is locked. Using what we know about the hammer and the drum, we are able to determine the weights of the other objects and get the code to unlock the door. Which brings us to an alternate dark version of our bedroom where Van Gogh does more than cut off his ear, and that gives us a white cube, which unlocks a way into Starry Night, and we complete Arles. Part 4, Harvey's Box. No words to say in the preamble this time, and that's because we are a bird. In Harvey's Box, we play as Harvey the parrot, and our objective is to escape this box that we have been trapped inside of. Collecting all the loose objects on the floor, we then move on to putting these notes together on the wall. Using the notes, we are able to open the passion fruit and reveal a staircase leading into a vision of ourselves stuck in the box, and realizing we must escape. We hear someone knocking on the outside of the box, but before we can react, we find a crow man and a fish man standing in our box. Using our domino skills that we got from the white door, more on that later, we solve the puzzle and get a paper revealing the position we must place our guests into. We do that, but realize we are missing a couple of objects we need to complete the picture, so back to puzzle solving. We play the notes on the comb, matching the notes we sorted out earlier on the wall, and receive a key for our efforts. Using this key, we unlock the cigar box and get a knife, cigar, and scrap of paper. The paper is a clue to the next puzzle, and we give the cigar to the fish man with nice legs. and since we're a gentleman parrot, we light the cigar for them. Using the knife, we cut a small hole and reveal a musical pigeon who will help us in a bit. With only a minor bout of frustrated insanity, we are able to complete the fly and larva puzzle, and are gifted some fireflies. Using our magical wine spoon, we match the notes we get by hitting the wine glass to the notes the whole pigeon sung to us earlier. This prompts the pigeon to give us a bit of rope. We use the rope to open the lid and are terrified to see a dark figure staring down at us. It reaches in and destroys Harvey. Just kidding. This time we use the fireflies to protect ourselves from the dark soul, transforming it into a black cube and thus completing Harvey's box. Part 5, Case 23, Chapter 1 of 4, The Murder Seed. It was the strangest scene I had ever seen in my long career as a homicide detective. The first time I stepped into that room, I knew there was something more than just a dead body. Fall 1971. We find the murdered woman from Seasons and play as the detective investigating her case, Case 23. We find a paper under the sofa and an incomplete crossword puzzle on the table. The code from Seasons doesn't work, but we do find the answer to the first crossword puzzle row on the picture from Arles from earlier. We find a fishbowl and a variety of familiar creatures and grab our second clue from a cactus. Investigating the body, find another piece of paper as well as a beetle living inside her mouth. As everyone watching knows, detectives hate bugs, so we chase it around the room and crush it under an iron to take the key it was hiding in its carapace. This key gives us access to the final scrap of paper, and we now know the mysterious order we must follow later. We grab the breed of parrot and begin to fill in the crossword puzzle. While shaking and foaming at the mouth with frustration, we complete this bookshelf puzzle and unveil yet another. Inside Starry Night, inside of Arles, we find the code to the safe. Psych. Back at the nesting dolls, we realize that we must match the objects inside with the corresponding doll. This gives us the key to the Firefly cabinet. Harvey would be proud. Moving the fly around the fishbowl in the correct order allows us to compress the fish into a key which unlocks the locked drawer, as well as the final clue to the crossword puzzle, giving us the answer: fate. It also gives us the solution to our mysterious puzzle on the wall. Using the cigar, we burn holes into the painting and unlock the correct order of symbols to put into the bookshelf mechanism. Unlocking this gives us a 6-digit number, which we head over to the telephone to dial.
Hello. Yes. Say the word. I'm sorry, your place is already taken.
Responding with the answer to the crossword puzzle, we are denied entrance, but something does happen with the body. Now we have the correct code to the safe, and inside we find evidence. We'll need to take this back to the station. Chapter 2 of 4, The Investigation. For months, I could not think about anything else than the events that happened after I found the dead woman. What is Rusty Lake? I collected all the information I could find and locked myself into my office, trying to learn more about Rusty Lake and this mysterious woman. Inside the station, we find a sink, a projector, our evidence laid out on a board, and a tube television. Looking around the room, we begin to find scraps of paper telling us a little tale. We make some coffee and say hello to our vent kitty. We find a final piece of paper, and laying out the map on the projector, we are able to number the locations of points of interest around Rusty Lake. Typing the highlighted words from our story paper, we summon a paper demon that we take on a journey through words. Doing this gives us the number 392, which once punched into the tube, we see the cube interface. Ignoring this and going for a shave, we find a crow that was hidden in our beard. Ignoring this, we drink a cup of coffee and get the number 247. With no remorse, we feed the crow to the vent kitty and see a dark soul version of the prime suspect on the television. Moving back to the window, we see the stresses of the job have overcome Officer Owl, and the dark soul has escaped, leaving us with a black cube. Vent Kitty leaves us some cat poop and an egg as a thank you for the crow. Matching the locations to the evidence board, we get our final channel, 746, which shows us the murdered woman. We give her the cat shit covered egg, and she rewards us with a white cube. Chapter 3 of 4, The Chapel. At last, I was close to Rusty Lake. Although I did not understand what happened, after a deep sleep, I found myself on the floor of the mysterious chapel I knew from the pictures. This might be my favorite part of the entire series. The chapel is filled with a ton of small puzzles that are extremely satisfying to complete. Making a cube from an ink bottle, we then unlock these circles to find a piece of story. Opening this lower door shows us a valve control for the puzzle above it. Another Starry Night piece acquired. Connecting these lines gives us yet another piece, and we make a cube to get a key. The key shows us a bird skull, and we move the marble statue around to retrieve an eye for that skull, which in turn gives us another key. That, of course, gives us a preserved fetus, which we naturally pour ink into, with the obvious result of turning it into a heart. The heart gives us access to scissors. We'll use them later. We go back to the marble statue and collect the gem and the eye to finally give us the fossil, a familiar object. The fossil cube gives us oil. But before we use that, we have a couple of picture puzzles to solve. The first is very easy. The second makes me question why I even try at all. Upon completing them, we unlock the middle painting, which gives us a black cube. This black cube breaks open the wall of the chapel, revealing the Rusty Lake and its rowboat ferry. We find a code on the marble statue, and we use it to open the final piece of Starry Night. This gives us a candle, which we use to summon the ferryman. Releasing his sewn mouth reveals that this old man is indeed Mr. Crow, and he takes us to the cabin. Chapter 4 of 4, The Cabin. Silently, the old crow and I sailed to the small island in the middle of the lake. Without a word, the crow left me, wondering what to do. In the cabin, we are immediately under pressure. Something dark is coming to stop us, and we must hurry. We reveal several puzzles and see a deer outside of the cabin door. The walls begin to deform and come to life as the entity draws near. The headless deer signals our doom, and it is too late. The opposing powers won. But the lake gives me another opportunity. This time, I have to be faster. This time, knowing what to do, we are able to complete the gear, oil, and elevator puzzles. We jump into the elevator just in time and begin our descent, leaving the entity and Harvey's box behind in the cabin. The end. Finally, I reached the lake. I could not feel my body anymore. The time felt different to me, like I did not only live in that moment, but also my past. All of my memories captured in little cubes, floating around the lake. Part 6. The Mill. The Mill is a multi-story puzzle that we must unlock and traverse to complete. On the first floor, we find a stove with a pot of water, matches, and wood to light in the stove. In the cabinet, we find Grandma, and immediately start touching her teeth. Ripping out her gold tooth, we melt it on the stove, and then grab the molten metal with our bare hands to cast a key with it. This unlocks the attic. Here we find Harvey, safe and sound. We grab his shit with our bare hands and see a television showing our past self, and then we see the murdered woman taken from the crime scene yet again.
Hello?
This is Detective Dale Vandermeer.
Yes,
Is this Rusty Lake?
say the word.
Fate?
I'm sorry your place is already taken.
We also find the standard attic cow, as well as this note. Dear Mr. Crow, the corrupted souls are still wandering the lake. I have found the one that can stop them. If he can find the 2 cubes, I will give you the storm. You can bring him to the cabin. Yours sincerely, Mr. Crow. Grabbing the scissors, we notice another note. Dear Mr. Crow, remember, the lake does not only need the right water level, but also fresh memories. I will send you the body of the young woman later this month. Use the machine wisely. Extracting the bad memories could cause corruption of the body. Yours sincerely, Mr. Owl. We fertilize the grass with bird crap and cut it with scissors to feed to the cow to gain its trust. We must milk this cow. Moving back downstairs, we cut Grandma's hair and bring it upstairs to spin into wool. Grandma insists on warm milk. Using the telescope, back out at the chapel and see the number 1384. This unlocks the door to the basement. In the basement, we overfeed a duck using rising water and murder the poor bastard. We also let in a fish with this action. We also see a time on the wall above a barred window, and when we put this into the grandfather clock, the murdered woman falls out and crawls downstairs. We then put her into the contraption. We see the detective put the black and white cubes into the TV and trigger something. Looking back out the window, we see the detective going through what can only be described as a religious experience. We now know that we are indeed not the detective, but are playing as Mr. Crow himself. Aligning the pattern on the top of the note with the painting of the udders on the wall, we successfully milk the cow. We give it to Grandma, or actually our wife, and she knits us an oven mitt. We use this oven mitt to get the roast duck out of the oven and give it to her in exchange for a net. We catch the basement fish and cook it as well and trade it to the old woman for a rope. This activates the contraption. Solving a few memory puzzles, we release the white cube from the murdered woman into the basement and dissolve it into the TV water. We repeat this process to unlock a black cube and do the same with it. Our wife/grandma will no longer be knitting. Upstairs, we find the cow is departed from its head and a dark soul has Harvey captive. We see the detective in an elevator which takes him to his past.
Different. I cannot feel my body anymore. I see my memories captured in little cubes.
Part 7, 1939. My birthday. We are in a familiar looking house with our family, celebrating our birthday as we see a strange figure outside the window. The search is on. We find matches, a screwdriver, and a knife. Checking the peephole, all looks clear. Grandpa is thirsty. We grab him some gin, but he wants it on the rocks. We set a mousetrap. Our mother tells us we have a present in the mail. Inside, we find a strange, non-functioning radio. Looking around, we see a drawing and a familiar painting of Starry Night. We find a balloon and use it to make Grandpa's ice. Now he wants music to accompany his drink. On the record player, we find gum and see that it's missing the play needle. We decide to rearrange one of our banners and get a piece of it. We play Tetris on the theater poster and are rewarded with a record to play. If only we had that needle. In the mail, we find a letter addressed to us. Dear Dale, congratulations with your 9th birthday. Today will be the darkest day of your life, but the past is never dead. Have a look at your present. It could turn the day around. Yours sincerely, Mr. Owl. From Mr. Owl. That's interesting. Well, time for cake. We slice it to reveal the sugary inside. Our dad has a slice and unfortunately almost swallows a needle. Well, we can use that. The music makes Granddad get jiggy with it and we snatch the stamp he was sitting. We do some math and grab another piece of the banner. Then we do more math and get yet another piece of banner. We really like these things. Attaching these pieces to the banner in the kitchen, we are able to tear it off the wall and get the first piece we need to repair our present, and maybe even our future. Using the screwdriver, we grab a wire from the wall and add that to the radio as well. Using the knife, we pop Mom's bubblegum and collect it. Gross. Someone's calling.
There will be blood. The past is never dead. It's not even
Sounds
past.
familiar. Someone's at the door. A guest, maybe? A rude guest. Everyone's dead but us, and the cat. But the past is never dead. Let's finish our work. In the flower pot, we find a battery and stick it in the radio. The killer rabbit left us a note. I had no choice. This substance from one of my past lives is my only chance of escaping this state. Forgive me, Mr. Rabbit. Moving into the kitchen, we unlock a kettle. We fill it with water and promptly blow up the stove. No worries, the burners still work. This creates steam. We grab the gas tube and add it to the radio. Looking back at our picture, we notice it matches the view from the kitchen window. One jump scare later, and we have a piece of glass for the radio. Using the fly, which we got from the bubblegum, we place it into the mousetrap, add the glass to the radio, and find a note in our dad's pocket. It's from Harvey, and it's encrypted. Using our stamps, we reveal this is actually the 4-digit code 1966. The mousetrap has yielded us a fish. We give it to the cat, who crafts us out a key. The key unlocks a snow globe. We put 1966 into the globe and create a wintry scene of the Rusty Lake Hotel.
Deal with your past, Dale. Only then can you truly become who you are meant to
Mr.
be.
Owl has been watching us for a long time. Using the kettle, we melt the snow to find the final battery under the welcome mat. We add it to the radio and find a coin in the lid of this box, the final piece. The radio activates and we are handed a blue cube, which from all the way back in Seasons we know allows us to move through time. We place it in the clock and reverse time. In the past, we grab the coin from the radio and use it to unlock the box. Inside is a pistol. We give it to Granddad.
I am ready. Happy birthday to you.
Someone's at the door.
How did you know? Boom!
Granddad shoots Mr. Rabbit, and we follow his blood trail into the snow. His death cleanses the memory. And a white cube is born. Part 8. Theater.
The lake is changing my memories. My past is not what it seems to be. I will let the cubes guide me.
we enter a new memory, and inside we find none other than our old friend, Robert Hill, or Bob from the White Door. And it's very cool to see the other side of this perspective. Bob doesn't want to talk to us as he's just been broken up with. So to be nice, we make Bob a screwdriver and he gives us one back.
What do you want, detective? The show starts when the light is on.
We move over into the piano room and solve this puzzle on the cabinet, which rewards us with a plunger. We check out the program for the night and fix the light plug with Bob's screwdriver. This begins the show.
Welcome to the theater of your mind. My name is Mr. Owl. And this evening I present to you 6 plays about the past, the present, and the future. It's showtime.
Mr. Owl and Harvey are our presenters. The first show, Lady of the Lake, has us balancing memories, but we must find them first.
Balance the substance of my past lives.
Seeing the keys on the wall, we use the piano to play Dead Face, and this reveals a hand within the piano. We match its tunes and are rewarded with a key. The key opens the bathroom, and we fix our reflection to reveal symbols. The symbols unlock the cabinet and give us our next item, the fossil. We grab a heart from under the sink and use the plunger to fish out a fetus from the toilet. We weigh these evenly and thus conclude Lady of the Lake, giving us a flower. Act 2 is a simple matching puzzle where we get the next code for the cabinet. Unlocking it gives us the recipe for the Harvey Wallbanger. 2 parts juice, 1 part Guyana, and 1 part vodka. Giving Bob another drink rewards us with some of his blood. We will use this to make a Bloody Mary. Bob takes out his gun and shoots himself in the head, giving us a clear view into his mind. Inside, we find Laura, the murdered woman, and many white cubes, as well as a safe with strange symbols above the numbers. Leaving Bob's mind, we find Act 3 in progress. We plant the flower from Act 1 and arrange the pipes in order to water it. The watered flower gives us seeds, which we then use the pipes to get them to Harvey. Ever happy with his seeds, Harvey poops out an egg. Is Harvey a she? Anyways, we arrange the pipes to drop the egg into the frying pan. Inside the cracked egg is a worm. Fish love worms in a devouring sort of way. With the worm in its gullet, the fish floats away and Act 3 is complete. During Act 4, we simply mime Mr. Crow and light the bulbs in the order he tells us to. Act 5 is a recreation of Laura's picture with her present. We match the stage to the actual picture and release 4 frames from the rafters. We fill these with the cubes from Robert's brain and match the frames to the parts of the stage that they match. Rubbing each one of the frames after positioning them reveals a symbol for the mind vault and what number accompanies each. We travel back into Bob's mind and unlock a hidden memory. A black cube, a tainted memory. Back on stage, we use the last cube to reveal Laura's face the moment she is murdered. It's not looking good for Bob. The curtains draw on the dead woman, and the final act begins.
Are you ready for the final play? His memories belong to the lake now. Extracting them caused a corrupted soul, one of the 6 stages of the wheel.
We see the mill once more and arrange the flags to match the parts of the play from the wall. Right before this, we sense something, and we find Bob, or rather his dark soul, in the bathroom. We complete the theater and find a note from Bob just before we leave. I feel dead inside. Why did you take my memory? Just removing a dark memory isn't enough. It leaves you empty. The dark soul remains. Our final part, Part 9, The Cave. The cave was a mysterious place. We find some wood and a melting pot laying around. We find that we are once again Mr. Crow, and we are thirsty.
I need my drink.
On the wall, we see a faint drawing, but can't quite make it out yet. In the drawers, we find a knife and matches and a petri dish. We also see the cave is dripping wax, but we'll come back to that in a bit. Using the matches, we illuminate the bat's hiding spot and use the wood to light the rest of the cave. Using the wax strip, we make a crow statue. Strange figures begin to shift in the shadows, and the dog is mortified. We open the cabinet and stop a spider from eating any of the fireflies. We are rewarded with an important book. This book shows the lineage of Laura's family. We arrange them correctly and find a hidden member inside Laura's portrait. On the next page, we see ourselves and see some ritual involving ourselves and Laura. The third chapter gives us insight into the cubes. White cube, relive your past life. Black cube, face your demons. Blue cube, the past is never dead. It's not even past. Gold cube, the memories are not only the key to the past, but also to the future. Chapter 4, we see Laura is related to the inventor or discoverer of the cubes. Rusty Lake, mental health and fishing. Let the cubes guide you. Balance the substance of your past lives. Create the elixir of life and death. Find enlightenment. On the back cover, we find a recipe for a lost elixir. Around the room, we find various insects, and they seem to fly in patterns or shapes. Matching them along with the color of the insect unlocks this cabinet, giving us a pickaxe for the crow statue. We place it next to the microscope. We place the portrait of Bill Vanderbloom into the book and reveal a shape written in blood. We trace the shape into the strange door and light a portion of the wall. In the light, we are able to rearrange vases and see Bill died from drinking something, thus creating a dark soul, and possibly being reborn as Laura, or something in that manner. Aldous then drinks the elixir and is transformed into Mr. Crow. We are given a moth and feed it to the bat, who flies away and reveals a portrait of the detective. We place it in the book and are given another symbol to draw. This time, we see the detective descend into the lake, and we must guide him past the dark spirits. Doing this tears open the cave. An arm reaches out, and we hand it a knife. It cuts itself off, and we retrieve the arm. Time to make dog food. We grind up the arm and serve it to our awkward doggy. He poops out a dog turd, and we pick it up with our bare hands. Placing the dog turd on the microscope, we use our fingers to rearrange the molecules of the canine shit into an elixir. We combine the elixir with water and go over to the mirror to drink it. We truly are Mr. Crow now. In the corner of the mirror, we find Aldous' portrait and maybe our own. Placing it in the book gives us another symbol to draw. This time, we see a submerged cube with a man in it. Following the directions of the fish, we collect the cubes in the correct order. This rips another hole, and inside we are given ore. We melt the ore and form a key for the bottom drawer. Inside we find duct tape. We use the duct tape to repair the breathing tube for the diver, who turns out to be none other than Mr.
Give
Owl.
me the extract.
We give him the elixir as well, and reveal the owl beneath.
Hale's journey is about to start. You have to gather the memories. We need them for our future. The Fool Elixir. Descend into the great depths of the lake. Take care, Arles.
He instructs us to descend into the lake and gives us a portrait of Laura, as well as a gem. We place Laura's portrait and draw the final symbol. This reveals the last scene on the wall. It appears to be some sort of cycle, and we are missing the final piece of the cycle. We open the door and reveal a submersible cube. We lower it into the lake and climb inside. Inside is a strange array of contraptions that we will have to use to navigate the lake. We begin with popping the cork off of a ship in a bottle, collecting a clamshell and an empty ink bottle. We see a map with dots representing cube colors and a picture of the Rusty Lake Hotel, telling us the depth and coordinates. We match the depth and coordinates from the picture into our navigation panel and find an anomaly in the lake. Using the green diamond, we power the submarine, and using the soil from the lake bed, sink to the correct depth. We then use a combination of compass and engine to move the sub to the correct coordinates at the correct depth. At the correct place, we find our anomaly, a white cube floating in the lake. We collect the cube and bring it into the sub. Playing the cube on screen shows us Laura and Harvey overlooking Rusty Lake Hotel. We fix the picture a bit and are able to pull the white cube into the sub. We then move over our second viewing window and maneuver fish into the sub, collecting them as we go. We then organize the fish on hooks to get an even cook and light the oven. The fish all burn and leave behind a single word, owl. We type owl into our submarine word machine and release a crab into the sub. Upon battling the crab, we use the clamshell and trick the crab into opening it. Inside is a pearl. We use the pearl to open the box on the table, and inside is a geotriangle and a picture with a guide for the triangle and depth. We go through the same process as last time, move the sub into position, and this time find a black cube in the lake. We grab it and move it into the sub. This time, when we go to view the memory, we see it is the There Will Be Blood scene, and Laura is the one who murdered herself, creating a dark soul in the process. With this disturbing implication, we place the black cube into the engine and return to the viewing screen to talk with the anglerfish. Using Morse code, we instruct the anglerfish to eat a minnow, and in return, he tells us another word, ink. We put that into the sub, and it spits out tentacles. Tickling them in the correct order allows us to fill our ink pot. We spill the ink onto the map and find a new anomaly. We go through the process of moving the submarine and discover a blue cube in the lake. Collecting it and bringing it into the sub shows us the clock from the first game. We arrange the wallpaper in the correct way and release the blue cube, using it to power the engine once again. Now it's time for more fishing. We direct fish onto the hooks, and looking through the periscope, we see a fisherman above giving us our final word, kit. This word gives us a hook. Time to catch a ship. We pull the mast out of the ship in the bottle, and inside we find our final picture. Church, X1, Y3, depth 50. Very deep indeed. We navigate over to the coordinates, and the sub begins to break down. With the engine failing, we quickly gather up the cubes and break the viewing glass to descend into the lake ourselves. Moving past a sea of dark souls, we find a white cube at the bottom of the lake. It opens, and inside, we find the detective and Laura's dark soul attached to each other through some sort of contraption. We power it with the cubes. We attach the machine to both the detective and Laura. And finally create the long sought after golden cube. The detective is given the cube and ascends out of the lake. This is the end of the original 9 Cube Escape games, but it is far from the end of our story. Many mysteries still remain in the lake, and we will uncover them in the future. But I hope you have enjoyed our journey thus far. I plan to continue the Cube Escape series soon. There will be a small break with a different game in between this video and the next, but for those interested, the next Cube Escape video will be on the 3 Cube Escape games that take place within these original 9, but aren't part of the original Cube Escape collection. Those being Rusty Lake Hotel, Roots, and Paradise. I chose not to cover them in this video because it was already covering 9 games and the script for this video was already quite long, and 2, because I want to ruminate on what I've learned thus far in this series and bring that into the next 3 games to try and really figure out what is happening in Rusty Lake. After that, I will cover Paradox and all the other Cube Escape games in some time, with other videos in between to give us a little break from the vast mystery. I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.